All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome back. Welcome to our next conversation here. So I'm really excited to be moderating this conversation. It's called The Connected Venue, How Transformative Data Technology Helps Owners and Operators Elevate the Fan Experience. So we have two experts in this field today joining us. Both are from Samsung Electronics America. I'd like to welcome Mario D'Antonio, National Director of Solutions Sales at Samsung, onto the stage. And then Chris Ollinger, Senior Sports and Live Events Sales Manager as well. And so we're going to dive into a lot of topics about the fan experience, the technology ecosystem they've created, and in general, kind of how they're stitching together the experience of you consuming your favorite sports teams and their content. So, gentlemen, thanks so much for joining us. Appreciate the time.
Yeah, thanks, Taylor. Thanks for having us.
Well,
thank you very much, Taylor. We're really excited today.
Yeah, excellent. So we got 30 minutes. I know you guys have a lot to cover, and I'm excited to dive in. And I wanted to start with a pretty basic question to get the ball rolling here. So part of the description of this conversation is about how Samsung has brought together an ecosystem of technologies to build this ideal fan experience that you guys are trying to stitch together for your clients, for favorite teams. What does that word ecosystem mean to each of you? Because there's both from your positions at Samsung and being on the technology sales end of things, but also from the fans' perspective, what do you want that word ecosystem to mean? So maybe Mario, if you want to lead off, that'd be great.
Yeah, sure. Absolutely. Yeah. For me, the ecosystem is this holistic solution that we've come up with that not only captures, as you mentioned, Taylor, the fan experience, which is, of course, paramount. We absolutely want to provide an experience for the fans that you can't get at home. And there's lots of different dimensions to that. And I think we'll cover some of that during our call. But yeah, so within the ecosystem, there's that fan experience that's taken into account, but there's also the business side of the house as well, making sure that our partner strategy and our operational strategy and even a revenue strategy is encompassed inside this holistic solution, this ecosystem that Samsung's bringing to bear.
Chris?
Yeah, I think that when we look at the total approach, I mean, I think we've gone, you're at really, I think it's called Stadium 2.0. And we're going beyond the board. It's about driving consumer behavior. How do we get people when they enter the venue to do something they don't normally do? And I think that's what we want to talk about today.
Yeah, and Taylor, just to kind of—
I'll let you introduce.
Yeah, just to kind of bring it all together as well. Samsung, we're really well known for our hardware solutions. I mean, people, billions of people touch a Samsung device every single day. And so, we're known for phones and televisions and home appliances and that kind of thing. But this ecosystem has to encompass more than just the hardware solution. We do a great job with hardware, especially with the visual displays that are stunning and spectacular inside these venues. But we also have a software and a services package that are a part of this ecosystem that help to make sure that, again, from a fan experience, you're getting something here in the stadium that you just can't get anywhere else. Can't get it at home. Can't get it without being here.
And so let's talk about when the fans are there, when they are there in person, Chris and Mario. What touch points with Samsung software, hardware, technology, et cetera, are they being a part of? Maybe they don't know it, but I'd love to make that kind of line really clear for our audience, because it's a very tuned in audience. Like we were saying backstage, like these are other people that work for teams and leagues, and they are in charge of figuring out the best kind of tech ecosystem for their organizations.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. I can start with that. So, I mean, there's the familiar pieces of hardware and technology that we are little by little making. We make these innovative leaps and bounds inside the technology to improve things that you're going to see in every stadium. So everything from the very big screen, and Chris will talk about this a little bit more in a little bit, down to the smaller screens that sometimes get taken for granted. When you first enter a stadium or a venue, a lot of times you're being greeted now with digital signage as opposed to traditional static signage. That digital signage gives you a bit of, or gives the venue more dynamic content that is available to them, so they can provide not only that richer experience, but from a fan perspective, they can tailor that experience to the fan, to the venue, and to the event that's ongoing there. So, and then, there's also kind of everything in between. So from that front gate all the way to your seat, to the different concession stands, possibly we also have partnerships and activations that happen on site that, again, they're meant to enhance that fan experience, give you something that you couldn't get anywhere else, but also provide back data and information to the venue, as well as those partnerships that help to further enhance those offerings.
Mm-hmm. Chris, what would you add?
I think the important thing is, when you have people, they first clear security, you can drive people to the concession stands. You can show them wait times all around the venue, wait times at bathrooms. You also have the ability now to actually help change consumer behavior. So if you could imagine like a VIP entrance, right? Somebody clears the VIP entrance. Well, they normally go to, their suite. Well, now you have the ability to know, one, who the person is who walked in. But secondly, how about you offer them something different than they normally do? So, and you are also tracking, where the people are going inside of the venue. What are their spending habits? So what we look at is the Samsung, you start at the main video screen, but then you've got a deployment of video screens throughout the venue and digital signage. So you're gathering data all the way through the fan's journey. So it's really about a total journey from start to finish.
Yeah, and I know some of the stuff that Chris mentioned, that might sound kind of Big Brother-ish, if you will, tracking fans and where are they going and how are they clustering, who are they hanging out with, how much time are they spending in each area. But the truth of the matter is we've taken a completely different approach than previous technologies. Rather than trying to use more invasive technologies like facial recognition and even opt-in applications, we use completely passive technologies. And so there's no opt-in, there's no personally identifiable information unless you're a part of a loyalty program, and there's definitely value to that. But as far as trying to understand the behavioral analytics of your typical fan, your typical visitor, we don't need to know that Chris is Chris and I am Mario in order to understand quite a bit of information about how to truly engage us as fans and make us a part of a community.
So you both mentioned how you kind of work through some of your partnerships with clients, and then Chris, you said a word that I want to touch on, which is habits, and you reference it with fans. When you're going to pitch new partners and you're showing off previous success with current partners, et cetera, what type of habits are you looking to instill with the tech solutions folks or the business strategy analytics folks at the partners you're trying to pitch? Say, hey, here's the ecosystem we can build for you. Here's the technology solutions we can put in place. What's kind of the hook for the sales pitch, saying these are the habits that are just going to be really powerful for your team to implement to create your fan experience?
Yeah, I can. If you don't mind, I'll add a little bit of color.
Yeah, go ahead.
Best thing, I can give you a few use cases that we've found to be particularly helpful in understanding how this technology can be used. But the one that Chris brought, I would like to kind of just spend a little bit more time on. If you're a season ticket holder and you're a big fan, you got to have your season tickets. What we don't want from a stadium perspective is for you to enter the venue, go straight to your seat and go back to your car and go back home. That is a recipe for disaster because it doesn't allow you the true experience of being there at the ballpark. Instead, by identifying the behaviors of these different fans, figuring out what these different personas are and how they interact and influence one another, we do have an opportunity to influence the behaviors of those fans and be able to provide them something that, again, you can't get anywhere else. One great use case is, as a season ticket holder, rather than going straight to your seat, we could provide, or the stadium could provide access to a community of all other season ticket holders, thereby giving you some folks that, I mean, they're going to be screaming behind you, rooting for your team, or absolutely shaming the pitcher on the mound, even though they're just trying to do the best they can because they're the fourth one up on the injured list. But getting to know these people ahead of the game, or even as a piece of the game or as a part of that experience, makes a lot of business sense, because communities influence community. And people influence community, and those communities end up having significant impact on things that really matter to the stadium, which is bottom line, making sure that we're able to fund these projects.
Yeah, I think that's the really important part. Is when you look at these technologies that we're introducing into the marketplace, once they're deployed, the amount of new revenue that a team can actually generate is substantial dollars. So if you just think about like your main concourse, you're adding between 2 to 3 displays at every aisle when they come up, and as they come up, you're letting people know that, hey, the Budweiser this way is 12 minutes, this one is 3, the food wait, the bathroom wait. So what you're going to do is you're going to send people to go spend more money. So a lot of these venues, if the lines are too long, they'll walk by. Mm-hmm. So now what we're going to actually do, in addition to driving more revenue at the stands and concessions, you're also able to actually sell on the screens as like an L-bar, a full advertising package. So all at once, you've added a bunch of new revenue inside of the venue to be sold, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. So you've taken, yes, you have an investment in, let's just say it's between 50 and 200 displays that you're going to add around the concourse. Yes, you have that expense, but that expense is paid for in a year to a year and a half, 2 years max. And you've got a life of something that's anywhere from 7 to 8 years, if not even longer. So you've got all of this new revenue on top of you're keeping your fans happy so they can actually get that beer and not bypass the line because they didn't realize 3 minutes away or 2 minutes away it was only a minute wait. Mm-hmm. If that's what we're trying to drive to, is yes, there's a cost, but more importantly, you're going to generate millions and millions of dollars more for a very small expense.
Yeah, and one thing that's seldom talked about in these kinds of forums is the partner and sponsorship relationships, which are critical for the health and financial well-being of any stadium. I mean, naming rights are the ones that get the most attention, but all of the individual signage opportunities and how they refer to them as inventory, whether it's digital, static, or digital dynamic, or even print static signs. There's lots of different opportunities there, but each one of those in practice tends to be a single pop-up sign, that kind of thing. So it's just one vendor, one partnership, spread out over an X amount of games, X amount of times, that kind of thing. And that looks and feels a whole lot like your typical programmatic advertising, which venues have a long storied history of being successful at. What we're able to do is kick it up a notch, which is instead of just relying on those programmatic advertisings, what we can do is we can provide additional inventories into your sales teams that allow for experiences and activations of those brands. So a great example of that we've seen recently is a car company has invested into a stadium, and sure, they've got their naming and placement all over this venue, which is all well and good. And every now and then, someone has talked about, well, what if we bring a car? Well, you could bring a car, but even that physical product is static and becomes stale after some period of time. And quite frankly, in a venue with 20, 30,000 plus fans, all of it, that car is not going to look clean and pretty for very long. So, but what we can do with a combination of, again, understanding fan behavior, driving traffic to that activation, and then having just the most gorgeous digital displays in the industry, we can provide an activation that allows that partner to provide a virtual presentation of their latest and greatest, how they're being eco-sensitive, how they're, whatever's driving them. Maybe they've got their new concept vehicle or sustainability, information, those kinds of things. They can drive that to that experience, target those fans, again, without any personally identifiable information, and provide an experience in that stadium that enhances the overall fan experience. Again, something that you just can't get at home. And we're doing that through a combination of these technologies that are available.
Guys, are there specific case studies you can call out that might be really interesting for folks watching to know, whether it's a specific stadium that you maybe came in, the stadium was already existing and already had its footprint and tech solutions, you kind of came in and gave it a more updated look and feel and solution spectrum, or are there new venues as well that you just kind of got in on the ground floor with and are helping launch their entire ecosystem for their fan experience? So I think everything you've outlined is fantastic and right on point for Horizon Summit here, and I'd love to get into specific case studies if we can.
Yeah, so there's as far as the whole solution, it's actually designed to be very modular, because we're all in sports here, and everybody watching understands that you have partnerships that extend beyond your current needs. And so we have to be very sensitive to that and make sure that we're able to accommodate. And so every piece of this was set up to be modular. The end result, of course, is this ecosystem that is custom tailored to that specific venue, and even being able to provide, against certain strategies that the stadium owners find to be the most important. But pieces of this have been put into place, and we've got some folks that are working on that whole ecosystem now. So I think within the coming year, we'll have some really great named case studies and be able to walk some folks through. But just a couple of individual case studies I think you might find interesting, and they really do translate into everybody's experience. I mean, every stadium has that one gate that everybody flocks to, even though there are 5 others. And if only the fans would go to any of the other 4 options, they would reduce their wait times. They would meet new people. It would spread out the operational load and benefit not only the fans, but also operations and revenue, and even partnerships, because you'd get a better swath of exposure there. Without these types of technologies, that's really difficult, because you can use static signs, you can use barricades. I've seen it all, and I'm sure you have as well. But with this technology, we're using machine learning to understand where people are coming from before they ever enter the stadium. We're using artificial intelligence to augment that directionality and even the wayfinding from the parking lot all the way into the venue. So a lot of times folks are consciously making that decision, hey, I want to go try out this other gate. That one's too busy. And we can be very prescriptive about that with what Chris mentioned earlier. The wait at the front gate is 12 minutes. The wait at the south gate is 2. And it happens to be closer to you as well. So you can be very prescriptive with that. But you also don't have to be quite so prescriptive. Sometimes you can use some digital content, those kinds of things, to entice and, again, modify that fan behavior to just naturally flow in those directions. And then once you get a few people going, what you notice is you get a lot of people going. People influence communities, and communities change behavior. So there's a lot of opportunity there, and everything from the front gate all the way to the concession stands and really into those individualized premium experiences are something that we've got solutions for.
I think the one thing, COVID brought a lot of things with it, but I think what actually happened is when everything kind of got shut down, it gave everyone a chance to reflect. And I think during that reflection period, those of us at Samsung took a moment and we looked at how we could actually go beyond a video screen or a TV, and how we could actually really help a venue, because revenue was so important, right? So we all had a revenue streams cut, but then it was like, okay, how can we make more money with what we have, but budgets are really tight. So I think when people take a look of where we've taken this and how we can really help a venue from the moment someone starts at a parking lot all the way to the end experience, when we can tell them, by the way, if you would go to the left versus the right, you could get to your car faster. I think it's a really, COVID brought to us a chance to really relook at how we look at a venue and how we can have a better experience and a fan journey, because fans today have so many choices. You're just inundated with options on how to spend your money. And there's nothing like going to a live event. So we want to maximize that experience, because there's nothing like, when Mario talks about it, there's nothing like, 20,000 fans or 60,000 or 100,000 people, screaming for their team.
Yep.
So if we can improve upon the outside from the concourse level, and how can we get people to really enjoy it more, that's what makes this so exciting. How we take, just a few technologies, we combine them with the Samsung displays, and we put this into something really strong. And I think for the analytics people on this call, when they see the type of data that we're actually capturing, it's a new way you can actually market to your clients. So we're really excited about where we're going and what we're doing.
Excellent. I think that's an excellent overview. And you touched on one of the biggest trends we've seen here at Sport Techie, Chris, was just all the acceleration of ideas, investments, product roadmaps that happened during COVID. And it's pretty mind-boggling to consume and watch and try to stay on top of. And so it's a perfect segue for kind of my last topic I want to discuss with both of you, which is, where is all this going? You've talked about your current clients, the ROI you're bringing them, the tech solutions you're putting in place that provide really great insights to help craft really powerful fan experience. For the next 3 to 5 years, what's your hope for where your technologies can bring the fan experience, and what is that main difference from where it is today, which is getting very advanced very quickly, and you're getting a lot of data that we just didn't have 3 to 5 years ago. But I'm always curious to ask the kind of future-looking question and hear from your guys' perspectives what you're looking at and how Samsung's approaching that.
Yeah, there's a lot of different strategies that we touched on during this broadcast, but there's so much more that we can offer, and each venue and is different, and each experience or event within those venues has their own nuance. And so where I see this technology going is first and foremost allowing that venue to be profitable in the change, and giving them a dynamic that they've never had before, giving them data that they've always wished for, and a way to execute against that data in a way that, quite frankly, it just isn't available anywhere else. And so whether you're playing baseball today and maybe you got a monster truck rally and then a concert in the next week, that same venue that's being used, there's certain efficiencies that we're able to provide through this intelligent data stream, through having artificial intelligence look at each event as a new opportunity, and giving you fresh data and fresh instructions and fresh predictive analytics based on how that's going in that moment. That's something that's never been done before. One other thing that I'll touch on is the fan experience as well. For so long, people have had to decide between privacy and functionality. And we are committed to the individual, and how we can provide functionality regardless of that, or without having to infringe upon privacy. So remaining CCPA compliant, remaining personally identifiable information free, we can give you information today that, as you mentioned, what is that going to mean tomorrow? Well, in the future, I see this working towards not just allowing fans to be a part of the action and bringing them in an experience perspective, but actually giving them an opportunity to participate. I mean, we see influencers taking over social media and really making a major impact in sports. There are methodologies that we're putting into practice in a few venues today that allow influencers, fans just like us, to play a big role in the big game, thereby giving you an opportunity to really make a difference there. And of course, the younger generations that are now starting to become part of sports, this gives them a great platform to express themselves in a very safe and very interesting way.
Yeah,
Chris.
I think the other thing that you're going to see, and I think Mario can probably, after I explain a touch of this, you can kind of bring it home. We're seeing the new 5G. How 5G is coming into venues, and then Samsung is taking the 5G and we're going to overlap it with a 4D. We have some really cool technologies that the Samsung lab came up with on how we can actually take a venue, deploy a system on 5G, and we think it's going to be a game changer for the fan experience. It's something that you can't get anywhere else. And I think it's gonna take that experience to a whole new level that's never been seen before.
Yeah, fans are going to get something that they can only you didn't even know that was possible. They're able to become part of the conversation and even help drive some of the oohs and the ahs that are happening right there in the stadium around them. And how rewarding is that? And then also from a venue perspective, gaining information about how your fans want to consume the content that you're providing is incredibly valuable. And we're able to, I see the trend going towards utilizing that in a much more effective and dynamic method.
Yeah, I think that's when this is seen by teams, and there's certain markets, leagues need it more than others, but I think when it's brought out and it's fully deployed, it's going to be the next wow. And we're really excited as Samsung to help lead that technology change and how we're using technology to actually enhance the fan experience. So again, we're going beyond the simple video screen, but we're going to utilize these tools to change the experience, and that's what we're really excited by. I mean, I think it's going to be one of those moments when people just like, wow. And then they're going to ask when they go to a venue that doesn't have it, they're going to ask, well, why doesn't that have that? That's what we're really, but yeah, we really appreciate the opportunity today to kind of go over how we see the journey, the fan journey is changing, and how we can actually help each team make more money, deliver a better fan experience, and it's a win-win for everybody. I mean, if you think about it, how many times is it really a win-win? And what we're bringing to teams today is a technology where the fans leave and they're like, "Oh, that was great. I didn't wait in that line," or, "Man, did you see I could go buy food faster?" And and the teams. I mean, how many times? I mean, I've been to many venues. I want to buy a hamburger or a hot dog, and the line's too long, and that's what this is all about. So I think we appreciate the opportunity today to kind of show people how Samsung can help teams make more money and deliver a better fan experience.
Well, perfect. That's a great ending note. Chris, Mario, thanks so much for the conversation. Wish we had more time, but thanks so much for making time. And to the rest of the Horizon Summit attendees, hope you learned a lot, and definitely reach out to Mario and Chris if you have questions. And we're going to move right on to our next conversation here in a few minutes. So thank you very much, everyone.
Thanks, Taylor.
Have a wonderful day.